Hello students, I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. Let's start. I think only 5 are there. 1, 2, 3 students are there. Okay, let's start our class. So we are in the first chapter of 12th standard, right? Reproduction in organism. So in the last class, what and all we have learned? Like we have discussed about some topics. Just I'll tell the summary of last class. In that first, what we learned? What is life? That was the first topic, right? What is life? The time period between birth and death. So the lifespan for each organism, it is different. Some will be having few hours and some will be having several years of lifespan. Then we have learned about reproduction. What is reproduction? The process by which an organism produces its offspring. That is called as reproduction. From the word itself, it's clear. Reproduction. It's producing again the next generation. That is called as reproduction. The process by which an organism produces its offspring. That is called as reproduction. And that is a biological process. And reproduction is of two types. Which and all that? Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. These are two types of reproduction. Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, only single individual, only one individual is involved, right? Only one individual is involved in asexual reproduction. And how that offsprings will be? The offsprings produced are exact copies of the parent. Only one individual is involved in asexual reproduction and the offsprings or the next generation produced that are exact copies of the parent. And they are genetically identical. In asexual reproduction, there is no fusion of gametes. Means there is no sexual process. So it is called as asexual reproduction. There is no fusion of gametes. And which are all the different methods of asexual reproduction? Which are they? Binary fission, budding, sporulation, then fragmentation and vegetative reproduction. Which are the different methods of asexual reproduction? Binary fission, budding, sporulation, fragmentation and vegetative reproduction. Just to refresh the last class, I'm repeating the same thing. So today we are going to continue the same topic. That's why just for refreshment, I'm repeating this. So in binary fission, the methods of asexual reproduction, first one is binary fission. Binary fission, what is that? In binary fission, that single-celled organism will divide into two. That is binary fission. Fission means division. Binary means into two. That is dividing into two. That is called as binary fission. Single-celled organism will get divided into two. And the second method of asexual reproduction is budding. In this, a new organism is developed from the parental body. Budding, from the name itself, it's clear. Budding, just like a bud, the next organism or next generation is forming. Budding, it will form like a bud. A new organism is developed from the parental body. As a small growth, it will develop. That means a bud is formed. This bud will get detached from the parental body and it will develop into a new organism. So what is budding? New organism is developed from the parental body. It will form as a bud or bud-like outgrowth. This, after maturity, it will get detached from the parental body and it will grow as a separate individual. And next asexual reproduction method is sporulation. Sporulation, the spore formation. In this mode of reproduction, special structures, special reproductive structures are produced. Which are all the structures? Zoospores, conidia and all. In last class, I have explained with diagram, zoospores, conidia, these and all the example for sporulation. So these are the main points that we have learned in the last class. Now let's move to the next topic or the next method of asexual reproduction. We have just started in the last class, but today we will start from fragmentation. Okay, up to this it's clear, right? You have any doubt? We'll go to next topic. If I'm asking something, please respond, okay, so that I can move to next topic. So we'll move to fragmentation. Fragmentation, what is that? Fragmentation is a form of asexual reproduction or method of asexual reproduction. In fragmentation, multicellular or colonial organism, that is the asexual mode of reproduction. Okay, in multicellular organism or colonial organism, fragmentation is the mode of asexual reproduction. In this, what is happening? An organism is splitting into fragments, or the organism will form fragments, and each of these fragments will develop into a separate individual. It will get mature and it will grow up completely, and that will form as a separate individual. For example, Hydra, Planaria, then among algae, Spirogyra, Hydra, Planaria, these are all the example for fragmentation. Fragmentation means the organism will split into fragments and each fragment will develop into a complete organism or a complete individual. That is called as fragmentation. Which are all the example for fragmentation? Hydra and Planaria. Among algae, Spirogyra. First is fragmentation in Hydra. In this picture, you can see this is the adult Hydra. Okay, you can see the adult Hydra here. Then it becomes fragments. Then that adult Hydra, it is forming fragments. Here, the fragments are not equal. Unequal fragments are forming. Isn't it? You can see here. This is the adult Hydra and this adult Hydra is forming fragments. It may be equal or unequal. And each fragment, this part, both parts will become a complete. It will grow and it will produce a complete organism. Each fragment will grow and it will form a complete organism or a mature Hydra. And again, this will mature and it will form adult Hydra. And again, this process will get repeated. So adult Hydra, it will form equal or unequal fragments. Then these fragments will grow separately. It will become mature. Then it will form an adult Hydra. Is it clear? Then fragmentation in Spirogyra. You can see here the Spirogyra. In Spirogyra, In the picture you can see nucleus. Here this is the nucleus. Then the septum, the separating septum, and the spiral chloroplast. In 11th standard chapter we have learned spiral chloroplast. Chloroplast is in spiral shape in Spirogyra. It's an important MCQ for NEET. Spirogyra is having spiral chloroplast. So the nucleus you can see, septum and spiral chloroplast is present. Then in Spirogyra, asexual reproduction takes place by fragmentation. So during fragmentation, what is happening in this body of Spirogyra, or when it matures, it will get break into many smaller pieces or fragments. When the Spirogyra matures, it will become many fragments or many smaller pieces. And with the help of how it is becoming fragments, with the help of strong water current, all these processes are happening with the help of water current, because it is present in water. Spirogyra is present in water. So with the help of water current, with strong water current, this adult or the mature mature Spirogyra, it will become fragments. And these fragments, see here it is forming fragments, and each fragment, it will grow into a new individual. So that is fragmentation. It's a simple process. Here the mature Spirogyra, with the help of water current, it is becoming fragments, and each fragment will grow into a complete individual. Next is fragmentation in planaria. You know that planaria, they are free living. They are free living aquatic flatworms. Planaria are free living aquatic flatworms. And they belongs to which phylum? In 11th standard you have studied. Planaria belongs to phylum Platyhelminthes. And planaria reproduction takes place both asexually and sexually, right? You have learned about planaria in 11th standard, right? So this is belonging to phylum Platyhelminthes, and planaria reproduces both asexually and sexually. There is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction in planaria. So here we are going to learn about the asexual reproduction method of planaria. There are two methods of asexual reproduction in planaria. One is fragmentation. So here the main thing we are going to learn is fragmentation in planaria. And the second method is also there, no doubt. It is spontaneous dropping tails. There are two methods of asexual reproduction in planaria. One is fragmentation, and second method is spontaneous dropping tails. So in the picture you can see the fragmentation method. So the fragmentation, how it begins? Usually it starts with a transverse constriction. Here the planaria, the parent planaria, in the body of parent planaria, transverse constrictions will form. And this will increase. These constrictions will increase until the two parts separate. And that will move away from each other like this. Here constrictions will form, and that will join together, and this parental body will become separate parts, and these parts will move away from each other. And then the head portion, this one portion will grow a new tail and other parts, and this middle portion will form a head portion and a tail portion, and the tail portion will form a head portion and middle portion. Like that, each fragment will grow into a complete organism or a complete daughter planaria. So parental planaria, transverse constrictions will form, and it will become separate parts, and these parts will move away from each other, and each portion will form the remaining parts of the body, and it will form a complete organism. So this is the procedure of fragmentation in planaria. Is it clear? Then another method I mentioned in asexual reproduction, that is dropping tail method. Dropping tail method, note down. Dropping tail method, mostly it won't be there in your textbook. So dropping tail method is it's a spontaneous method. Spontaneous dropping tail method, which is present in planaria. See, when planaria is present in stagnant water, it can't see these things and all. With the help of water current only, this fragmentation takes place, right? So when it is present in the stagnant water, there is no strong water current. So that will frequently drop their tail. That planaria will drop the tail. And these tail regenerate to form a complete organism. Like the previous method, the dropped tail portion, it will develop into a complete organism. So in this condition, the organism will become dwarf. It won't be like normal planaria. That organism will be in a dwarf form. Okay, is it clear? So in planaria, they are free living aquatic flatworms, and they belongs to which phylum? Platyhelminthes, and they reproduce in both ways, asexual and sexual ways. Here, the asexual reproduction method. There are two methods of asexual reproduction in planaria. One is fragmentation, and the second method is spontaneous dropping tails. So in the fragmentation, usually transverse constrictions will form, and this will separate the parts, and each fragment will move away. Then each portion will create the remaining parts of the body, and it will form a complete organism or complete body of planaria. Then daughter planarias will form. Then the second method is dropping tail methods, spontaneous dropping tails. In this, what is happening? This is also a sexual reproduction method. So in spontaneous, dropping tail, in stagnant water, they will frequently drop their tail, and these tail, it will regenerate to form a complete organism. And in this condition, what will happen? The organism, the daughter planaria, it will be a dwarf form. Is it clear? So next, we are moving to the fifth method of asexual reproduction. What is that? That is vegetative reproduction. And we know that vegetative reproduction is the form of asexual reproduction in plants. So vegetative reproduction, it is a form of asexual reproduction in plants. And in this, how a new plant is formed in this method? In this, it is growing from a cutting or a fragment of the parental body, right? From the cutting or a fragment, a portion of the parental body, or from a specialized reproductive structure. I'll tell about all this in this. How a new plant will form? A new plant, it grows from a fragment or a cutting of the parental body, or from a specialized reproductive structure. And in many plants, the reproduction occurs in this way, vegetative reproduction. Many plants reproduce through this method, but we can induce this. Artificially also we can induce this vegetative reproduction. So vegetative reproduction of organism, They can do from any vegetative part. What is vegetative reproduction? It is the reproduction of organism from any of the vegetative part. Not from the sexual part, any of the vegetative part. The reproduction from the, or the formation of next generation from any of the reproductive part, vegetative part. Is it clear? So vegetative reproduction, it is a form of asexual reproduction occurring in plants. And how a new plant will grow in this? From a fragment or from a cutting of the parental plant or from a specialized reproductive structure. So naturally, many plants are reproducing in this way or through this vegetative reproduction, but we can induce this vegetative reproduction also. Then vegetative reproduction, it's of two types. There are two types of vegetative reproduction. One is natural method of vegetative reproduction and second one is artificial or horticultural methods. See, first one, just now I told, it's a natural process. Through natural process also, so many plants are doing their reproduction through vegetative reproduction, and we can induce the vegetative reproduction. That is the artificial or horticultural method of vegetative reproduction. Next is natural method of vegetative reproduction. We are going to learn about the first way of vegetative reproduction, that is natural method of vegetative reproduction. In that, this vegetative reproduction natural method can be done from stem, then leaves and roots. Natural method of vegetative reproduction can be done by stem, then leaves and roots. From any of these parts we can do vegetative reproduction naturally. Then let's go through each one. Let's see vegetative reproduction by stem. What is the stem? Stem means, what is the stem? In a plant body, plant is having different parts, right? In a plant body, you can see in the picture, plant is having different parts. Which and all the parts? From down we will start. Just imagine a plant. The plant will be having root. For what the root is helping? Root is helping for anchoring and then for absorption. It will absorb water and nutrients from the soil. Then next, above root, what is there? Stem. Stem is a part of shoot system. And for what it is helping? It is helping in the conduction of water and nutrients. The root is absorbing the water and nutrients, and through stem, it is reaching to leaves and other parts of the plant. And the next part of the plant body is leaf. For what leaf is helping? That helps in photosynthesis. So in a plant, root, stem and leaves. So stem is a part of shoot system, right? And for what stem is helping? It is helping in the conduction of water and nutrients. And leaves helps in the photosynthesis. And root of a plant, that helps in the anchoring of plant and absorption of water and nutrients from the soil. Now let's come to the point. Vegetative reproduction by stem. That's what we are going to learn now. Just now I said stem is a part of shoot system. So the length of the stem. Length of the stem, that may vary. The length of the stem may be different in different type of plants. That may be millimeters to hundreds of meters. So there is different types of plant. There are different types of plant and they are having their stem, which are having different length and different diameter. It depends upon the type of plant which we are having. Different plants will be having their shoots in different way, or their length of the stem will be different and the diameter of the stem will be different. So that depends upon the plant type or plant varieties. So in some plants, the stem is modified and it is performing other functions also. Normally, what is the function of a stem? It is helping in the conduction of water and nutrients. So in some plants, the stem, it is modified to perform some other functions also. What are all the other functions? Like storage of food, then for support, then vegetative propagation, and then protection. For all these kind of different functions they are doing in some modified, or they are performing some modified functions, or some modified parts are performing some different type of function, not the normal functions like means conduction of water and nutrients. Apart from that, it is performing some other functions also, and these stems are in modified forms. They are helping in the storage of food, then support, vegetative propagation, and protection. So this type of stems, they are normally called as modified stems. They are called as modified stems. And we can categorize these stems into different classes. So in this topic, what we are going to learn? We are going to learn about various types of modified stem. You can see here various types of modified stem with example. Okay. We are going to learn each one with example. So note down the example because there are important questions for NEET. And while explaining about each type, just imagine or just keep in memory that you have to learn one example, and based on that you can write the features. So it will be easy for you. So based on the type of modification or stem modification can be classified into underground stem modification, subaerial stem modification, then aerial stem modification. So stems, they are the part of shoot system of a plant and their length and diameter, that and all varies. It depends upon the type of plant. And the important stem modifications are underground stem modifications, subaerial stem modifications, and aerial stem modifications. Is it clear? Then next is different types of stem modification. And in the chart you can see stem modification and types of stem modification. In this chart you can see this. The stem modification, there are aerial stem modification, subaerial stem modification, then underground modification. In that aerial stem modification, different types are there: creepers, trailers, and climbers. In subaerial stem modification, different types are there: runner, stolon, sucker, and offset. In underground stem modification, you can see bulb, comb, rhizome, and tuber. So stem modification, it is divided into aerial modification, subaerial modification, and underground modification. In underground modification, you can see bulb, comb, rhizome, and tuber. In subaerial, runner, stolon, sucker, and offset. Then aerial modification, creeper, trailer, then climber. So let's go through each type. First, we are going to underground stem modification. So the plants that forms underground stem modification, they are forming these structures for perenniation and storage of food. Mainly the plants that forms underground stem modification, they are forming the structures for the perennation and storage of food. So what and all these underground stem modifications are helpful? For perennation and storage of food. Mainly for perennation and storage of food. What is perennation? Hope you know that. It's nothing but the ability of an organism to survive from one germination season to another. When they are doing that? They are doing that during unfavorable condition. So whenever unfavorable condition comes, to survive from such things, mainly plants, they undergo stem modifications. So that is called as perennation. To survive from such unfavorable condition like drought season may come or winter season may come. So to survive from such seasons or such climatic conditions, they will skip from one generation. They will survive from one germination season to the another, or they'll skip one season. This is called as perennation. So mainly for perennation and storage of food. For that only this underground stem modifications are helping. And such type of plants with underground stem modification, they will produce aerial shoots. They will produce mainly aerial shoots. And the underground stem modification, their structure or their visible or their modification is like a root. The underground stem modification, they look like a root, but they are not roots. But we can distinguish them with some characters or features. What are the features? They'll be having nodes and internodes. So main features of underground stem modification. Underground stem modifications will be having an appearance of roots. It will be like those are like roots, or they have a root-like structure. But really or exactly they are not roots. They are the stems or modified stems. So how we can distinguish or differentiate this underground stem modification and root, or how we can make out or we can tell that it is not a root, it is a shoot, modified shoot. They'll be having nodes and internodes. Normally shoots will be having nodes and internodes, right? So they are having nodes and internodes, and they'll be having the presence of scale leaves. Then buds will be present, adventitious roots will be present. All these things will be present at the nodes. Normally shoots, on shoots or stem, it will be having nodes and internodes. So in this modified stem or this underground stems also, they'll be having nodes and internodes. And there will be presence of scale leaves, buds and adventitious roots at the nodes. And the main thing is the internal structure. Internal structure of a modified stem, it is almost similar to the structure of an aerial stem. And the structure is not like a root, that is similar to the structure of aerial stem. So these are the points to identify a modified stem from a root. And some underground stem modifications are rhizome. Here you can see the underground stem modification: rhizome, bulb, corm, tuber. So the plants that form underground stem modifications are forming these structures for perennation and storage of food. And this type of plants, these type of plants, they'll produce aerial shoots. Mainly they'll produce aerial shoots. And the underground stem modifications, they are almost similar to root, or they are having the appearance of a root, but they are not exactly roots. How we can differentiate? They are having nodes and internodes, and adventitious roots are present, buds are present, scale leaves are also present at the nodes. And the internal structure of a modified or the modified stem or the underground stem, it is similar to the structure of a stem. It is not similar to the structure of a root. So the main points are these. An example, main types of stem modification. Underground stem modifications are rhizome, bulb, comb, and tuber. These are the main types of underground stem modifications. Let's discuss one by one. First one is rhizome. This is an underground stem modification. You can see here in the picture, you can see underground stem modification. So first I will tell you an example for rhizome. Then think about the structure of that, and then it will be easy for you people. Then think about the picture, then you can write each and every point from that itself. There is no need to by heart all these things. Just remember one example from each one. So first, I'm going to tell you the example for rhizome. Ginger. Hope you know the ginger. Everyone is having clear idea about ginger. And if you don't have an idea or you don't have any idea about kitchen and vegetables or such things and all, just go to your kitchen, just ask your mom and check the features, then write the answer. Okay. So the rhizome example is ginger. So from the picture itself, it's clear that ginger, it's not green in color, right? It's not in green color, and it's having nodes. See, here the marks are there, nodes, internodes, all are there. All parts are there. So it's not in green color. That is the main thing. First point when you are thinking about ginger, main feature is it's not in green color. Then next, it is having nodes. What is nodes? The area where buds are present. You can see small green color outgrowth on ginger. That is arising from the nodes. Then internodes. Internodes also present. So nodes are present, internodes are present. Internodes means the space between two nodes. See, these are all the features of a stem. Nodes, internodes and all features of a stem, not the features of root. That's why I'm explaining. See, first one is it's not green in color. The next is nodes are present where you can see small green bud-like structures and internodes. Internode is nothing but the space between two successive nodes. Then these nodes bear dry scale leaves with auxiliary buds. What is auxiliary bud? The embryonic shoot, which is dormant. It won't grow as a big shoot, but it will appear as a bud-like structure. It won't grow. It remains dormant. Or it is the small green-like structure, green bud-like structure, which I have told, that won't grow, but it will become dormant, or it won't form a big shoot. Then terminal buds are also present. You can see here terminal buds. In each end, buds will be present, which are known as terminal buds. These are the primary growing point. Got it? These are the primary growing point, not this one, not the auxiliary buds. Terminal buds are the primary growing point. So from the lower surface, adventitious roots also present. You can see the adventitious roots which are arranged at the lower surface. These are brownish in color and these are fleshy. And the rhizome, then another thing I'm going to tell is rhizome which grows obliquely. These are called as rootstock rhizome. Okay, the rhizome here, up to this I was explaining about the characters of ginger. Then apart from that, the rhizome that grows obliquely, they are called as rootstock rhizome. For example, banana. And the rhizome grows horizontally. They are called as straggling rhizome. Horizontally growing rhizomes are called as straggling rhizome. For that, ginger is the example. Ginger, turmeric and all coming under that type. But those grows obliquely, they are called as rootstock rhizome. Example is banana. Then remaining features and all you can think or you can get an idea from the features of ginger itself. Right? So what and all I have told? These are non-green in color. These are not in green color. Then they have nodes and internodes. Then there are auxiliary as well as apical buds. Auxiliary buds, you can see the small buds. These are dormant. And apical buds or terminal buds, you can see these are the growing portions or growing centers of main shoot. And these are brown in color. And the common type of rhizomes are fleshy due to the storage of food material. The rhizomes are fleshy due to storage of food material and they contain terminal buds. So these are the main points in rhizome. Next type of underground stem modification is bulb. What is that? Next type is bulb. In bulb, first I'll tell, like the previous one, first I'll tell about the example. Then it will be easy for you. The example for bulb is onion and garlic. You can see onion and garlic. Now let's go to the points. They are highly condensed. You can see, you know, onion. Think about that onion. It is highly condensed, discoid stem. And the upper surface, a terminal bud is present. You can see here, the upper surface, the terminal bud is present for this type. Terminal bud, this will grow. The upper surface, that terminal bud will grow. And many scale leaves that are fleshy, those are present. You can see layer-like structure in onion, right? Many fleshy scale leaves are present. And at the base of the bulb, just think about onion, at the base of that bulb, a cluster of adventitious roots are present. You can see under onion or garlic and a cluster of adventitious roots. And these bulbs may be tunicated or scaly. What is tunicated? A tunicated bulb is covered by, it's covered by a sheath of dry membranous scale leaf. Dry and membranous scale leaf in a tunicated bulb. Tunicated bulb is covered by dry membranous scale leaf. And these scale leaves, those scale leaves are called as tunic. That is dry and membranous. Clear? For example, garlic, then onion. It is having a dry cover, membranous dry cover, isn't it? That is called as tunic. These scale leaves are called as tunic and it is dry and membranous. In garlic and onion, you can see this. But in the case of garlic, there is another difference. The bulb, that whole bulb that consists of, or that is an aggregate of bulblets. Bulblets or cloves. This onion, this garlic is an aggregate of bulblets. So many small bulblets or cloves are present in the garlic, right? In this, each bulblet or clove is covered by individual tunic. In the case of garlic, there are so many small bulblets, but in the case of onion, it is covered. It is a single layer, membranous single layer. But in the case of garlic, each bulblet or the garlic whole thing, it is an aggregate of so many bulblets. Each bulblet is separately covered. There is a separate tunic cover for each clove. But in the case of a scaly bulb, that tunic won't be present. For example, this tulip or the bulb of lily, in that this tunic, this covering won't be present. So what is that? In bulb, many fleshy scale leaves are present, and the base of the bulb that consists of cluster of adventitious root. Examples: onion and garlic. And that bulb may be tunicated or scaly, and a sheath of dry membranous scale leaves covers the tunicated bulb. In the case of onion and garlic, it is present, but in the case of garlic, so many bulblets are present, and each bulblet is covered by a separate tunic. But the scaly bulb like bulb of lily, tulip and all, that don't have a tunic. Is it clear? So next is comb. Next type of underground stem modification is comb. You can see in the picture. Example is Colocasia and Amorphophallus. Colocasia and Amorphophallus, these are the example for comb, which is an underground stem modification. Hope you are familiar with this. So it is a condensed form of stem. It is a condensed form of rhizome, and it is growing in vertical direction. It is growing in vertical direction, and more or less these are spherical. You can see from the shape itself we can make out these are more or less spherical, and they have a flat base. You can see the base is almost flat, and the comb that has a distinct circular nodes and inner nodes. Sorry, comb is having distinct circular nodes and internodes. The nodes and internodes are in circular way. You can see here. And the nodes and internodes, they bear scale leaves and auxiliary buds. Here you can see the scale leaves and auxiliary buds are also present. And adventitious roots, you can see the adventitious roots. They arise from the base or in the form of colocasia. In colocasia, they form at the base, but in the case of Amorphophallus, it is present all over the body. So, condensed form of stem growing in the vertical direction. That is comb. It is spherical in shape with a flattened base, and it has distinct node and internode. Nodes and internodes are present, and adventitious roots are present either at the base or all over the body. In Colocasia, at the base it is present, but Amorphophallus, all over the body, adventitious roots are present. Then auxiliary buds are present on the sides. Auxiliary buds. On Colocasia, you can see auxiliary buds on the sides. So next is tuber. This is the last one in underground stem modification. For this, first I'll give the example, that is potato. Example is potato, and this is a fleshy part of plant stem, and this is storing the food, right? Potato means it's easy to remember and easy to write the features. It's fleshy part of the plant stem, and this is storing the food. And this is most common tuber. This is largely, mainly it is used as food. So this is the common food. Just imagine the picture of potato in mind. The stem tuber, it is a swollen tip of underground stem. The underground stem that is having a swollen tip in the case of potato, and it is covered by a skin with a numerous small depressions. You can see so many small depressions called eyes. You can see these small depressions called eyes on potato. You might have seen this on potato, right? There are numerous small depressions. So each eye, it is representing a node. Eye is the representation of node, and each node is bearing one or more buds, and each node is having more than one buds, and they are subtended by leaf scar of scale leaf. You can see here, and a big scar at one edge that makes, or that shows the attachment to the stem. A big scar will be there at one end that shows the attachment to the stem. But in the case of potato, usually, or in the case of tuber, adventitious roots are usually absent. So fleshy part of the plant which stores food, and potato, that is the main common example, which is mainly used as food, and the lower part of the potato get covered by earth, where the adventitious bunches grow. That part is mostly covered with soil. Then number of depressions called eyes, it is present on the top, and each eye is representing a node, and there is no adventitious roots in the case of tuber. They are largely used as food. Mainly it is used as food, and one scar will be present at one end. That is the one main scar that shows the attachment to the stem. That is the portion where it is attached to the stem. Here you can see the buds arising, and each one can grow as a separate plant. So just learn with common examples. It will be easy for your board exam. Then for MCQ or for NEET purpose, you have to learn more examples because they'll come as MCQs. So for that purpose, you can learn more examples, but learn all these with common examples so that it will be easy for you to write the features. Okay. So up to this, is it clear? So next class, in the next class, I will go to the next type, subaerial stem modification. So before that, go through these portions, make it clear. If you have any doubt, ask me in the next class. You people are not asking any doubt. There is no doubt, I think. So up to this, is it clear? You have any doubt? Just respond, at least as a message. You can tell something. Just I want to know whether you people are hearing or not. Shabana. Yeah. Thank you. It's clear. Up to this, it's clear. What about the other person? Who is that? Harshavardhani and Mridula. Hope it is clear. So we'll see in the next class. Please go through this portion, read it properly. Okay. Thank you.